was possible only through the use of free economic and political institutions, that to be rich, a people first needed to be free. That belief led leaders of other nations to admire and seek to emulate our system, despite a natural inclination toward control. Now the fundamental belief in free systems is being called into question. Our recent financial collapse has accelerated phenomena that have been growing for decades, but that were masked by the almost unbroken prosperity of the quarter century between the Reagan recovery in 1983 and the 2008 meltdown. Burgeoning government at every level, from federal to township, has been financed at an alarming rate by borrowed money. A miserably underperforming public school system is now taking its inevitable toll on our society and producing a workforce woefully unprepared to compete with those of other countries and woefully ignorant of the duties and requirements of citizenship in a free society. History teaches us that all national greatness is temporary. Every great civilization, from the Roman Empire to the British Empire, has eventually collapsed. Americans have grown complacent in their position of dominance, but the term the American century suggests how relatively brief this period of dominance has been. An ancient Roman would not have been impressed by a less than 100-year run on top. Decline and fall are only occasionally foreseen by those en route to those destinations, and still less often forestalled by forceful and timely action. Denial of reality is a powerful human impulse, as is the tendency to mistake the status quo for the natural and inevitable order of things. Today's American suffers from a diminished sense of his own national history and, too often, a profound ignorance of the history of other nations and civilizations. He probably has even less awareness than a Victorian Brit, a 16th century Spaniard, or even a 5th century Roman, that the world is always subject to a fundamental shakeup. What's more, he's not likely given any thought to the fact that our way of governing ourselves remains an anomalous and unproven experiment in the eyes of history. Sages throughout time have doubted that, to paraphrase Lincoln, a government conceived in liberty can long endure. Our founding fathers knew how long the odds were against their experiment. They worried to their dying days that their work would be undone by the excesses to which democracies might be prone, or by an atrophy of the character traits, self-discipline, self-reliance, a don't-tread-on-me insistence on individual liberty that gave birth to our independence and freedom in the first place. Subsequent generations, especially Lincoln's, feared a dying out of the mystic chords of memory, the historical knowledge and appreciation of the precious uniqueness of America. Now evidence abounds that we have reached the point that centuries of skeptics predicted. The overpromising of politicians catering to the immediate wants of their constituents has stacked up obligations far beyond our government's ability to afford them. A growing near majority of citizens is now dependent on government for a substantial percentage of their livelihood. Increasingly, the burdens of a growing public sector are paid for by a dwindling percentage of the population. It's now reaching the point where society's ability to generate new wealth is being threatened, and the non-payers have nothing to lose by demanding still more from their richer neighbors. Meanwhile, large majorities of Americans are clueless or even badly mistaken about their own history and the history of past fallen empires. Encouraged on every side to think of themselves as victims of an unfair system and their country as nothing special, they can quite logically react to economic adversity not with a bootstraps resolve but with self-pity and a search for villains. The Republican virtues that the founders saw as indispensable to liberty's preservation appear to be in short supply just when we need them most. Consequently, we've amassed a ruinous amount of national debt, current and committed, mathematically beyond the capacity of any economy to pay. This is a survival-level threat to the America we have known. Left unaddressed much longer, it will permanently hobble the prosperity engine that's made us the world's great power and exemplar. It will undermine the uniquely American promise of upward mobility for all and compromise our government's ability to fulfill its most important responsibility, national security and the physical safety of Americans. If this picture seems hyperbolic,